In a normal democracy, fair and transparent elections can neutralize pre-poll bellicosity and smooth the way ahead for the government and the opposition to play their respective roles. Not so in Pakistan's dysfunctional democracy, where even those claiming to have people power behind them factor unelected forces into their political strategy. At a press talk one day after winning 6 out of 8 seats up for grabs in Sunday's by-polls, PTI Chairman Imran Khan raised the ante still further in his campaign to force an early election by describing the result as a referendum against the government. If polls were not called soon, the Long March would go ahead, he vowed, and this time the participants would be prepared to deal with violence. The former Prime Minister also acknowledged for the first time that back-channel talks were happening between his party and the powers that be, but conceded there was no clarity as yet, holding PMLN Supremo Nawaz Sharif responsible for the lack of clarity. Mr. Khan said Mr. Sharif was afraid of elections and therefore determined to let the situation drag on further. The by-election results have bolstered the PTI's narrative regarding its popularity, but they have also prompted Mr. Khan to go public about his negotiations with the establishment, something he had only hinted at earlier. That suggests he has decided to use his triumph at the ballot box to not only put a squeeze on the coalition government to call early elections, but also to increase pressure on the powers that be to throw their weight behind him. Moreover, Mr. Khan's remark at the press talk that the elder Sharif may get a clean chit, much like the other PMLN leaders, and that he was ready to contest the election against him, suggests interesting possibilities. Could it perhaps allude to one of the issues being negotiated behind the scenes and indicate that PTI chairman is open, if reluctantly, to a level playing field being devised for the next general election? As everyone knows, however, negotiations are best undertaken from a position of strength. Mr. Khan has kept the thread of the Long March hanging like a sword over a government already on the back foot, and the by-poll outcome has strengthened the PTI's hand. Certainly, peaceful protest is a democratic right, and Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah is out of line in threatening the protesters with brute force should they attempt to enter Islamabad. By that same yardstick, it is the government's prerogative to decide when to call elections, subject to constitutional limits, to do so at a time it considers more advantageous to its prospects. It's simply sound political strategy. Long marches, on the other hand, are an unreliable strategy for achieving professed objectives. The PTI should return to the National Assembly, attempt to woo back its former allies, and win the political war from within the parliament.